What's going on in the big old world today, people? I'm going to bring you the latest and greatest, like I always do, and welcome to the Jamie Hicks Show. Um, Today we're going to talk about Carus and our politicians. That would be our 76th District State Lance Yedknocks seat that is opening up for re-election. We have candidates that are coming up, and we'll get into that. But first, Carus continues to run non-compliant. Rogue people. They might as well be mixing that stuff in the bathtub like they did in the 1960s. City mayor, deputy clerk, you failed us. IEPA, you failed us. EPA failed us. Local fire chief and local EMA, that's Emergency Management Agency, Fred Moore, you failed us. Homeland Security and Illinois Emergency Management Agency, you failed us. CFATS, you failed us. IDPH, Illinois Department of Health, and the Department of Health, you failed us. Why? We're going to get into why, people. We're going to get into why. And the truth's finally going to come out just a little bit at a time. So here we go. These are our candidates for the 76th District, people. We got election time coming up, 2024, and we got at least 5 candidates running for State Rep Lance Yedknocks' seat. The January primary election in Illinois is March 19th, and the 76th District is comprised of LaSalle, Bureau, and DeKalb counties, including the cities of Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru, DeKalb, and Spring Valley. That means my Illinois Valley people, wake up and get ready to vote for your candidates. You need to be sure you're doing your homework. These people are the people who represent you. Caroline Zazada, First Ward Alderwoman from DeKalb. She's running for the seat, and so is DeKalb Mayor Cohen Barnes. He's also running for the seat. I had the pleasure to meet both these candidates, and I am very impressed with their credentials and all the goodness that they could bring to the table. We also have other candidates that we will talk about here on the next little slide. Okay, people, so here are our candidates, all 5 candidates. This was at IVCC on Wednesday, the 24th, I believe, of January, and you can find this on YouTube under Shaw Media, this whole session. I'm only going to go over one person only, and that is this woman right here, Murri Briel. She is our Democrat. That is Lance Yedknocks' secretary. She is on the left. We have Republican Crystal Longhorn. She is a Peru native. We have Democrat Caroline Zazada. She is from DeKalb, and so is a Democrat Cohen Barnes. We also have Liz Bishop from Peru. We have a lot of choices here, people, a lot of choices. And we're going to just go ahead and get into it because Murri, like I said, is State Lance Yedknocks' secretary, and she brought up some interesting facts about the Carus fire and what happened and how they dropped the ball, and also how she doesn't still know what the law is. The law is the law. State, federal, and local laws. Local laws, people. Okay, people, so we're going to jump right into it. And this is a question that was asked by to Murri Briel about Carus Chemical and, you know, what she can do for us when she gets in office. Now, I'm going to try to let her talk, and then in the end of that, I will come back in and do a rebuttal on some information and show you the proof that she knows exactly who is in charge of enforcing. But each agency, Illinois EPA, I, all of them want to deny who's in charge of enforcing, which is bullshit. So we're going to get into it, people. Here we go.
Growth for those larger reactors too. So for all of you, as you're out and listening and having those conversations, just do keep that in mind. So thank you, Liz. Murri, you are next up, and the question is, there are residents that feel that more could have been done post-Carus chemical fire around addressing concerns and providing support for residents. In addition to that situation, there have been multiple throughout the state, whether it's in the Rockford area, Rockton, Morris. Most recently, there was that fire down by Lawson. But what can be done by our representatives, by our legislators, to make sure that our community members are heard and taken care of in any future potential instances?
Well, I think one of the first things that we had to do was assess what happened with the Carus chemical issue and find out where things went wrong and where we learned
growth for those larger reactors too. So for all of you, as you're out and listening and having those conversations, just do keep that in mind. So thank you, Liz. Murri, you are next up, and the question is, there are residents that feel that more could have been done post-Carus chemical fire around addressing concerns and providing support for residents. In addition to that situation, there have been multiple throughout the state, whether it's in the Rockford area, Rockton, Morris. Most recently, there was that fire down by Lawson. But what can be done by our representatives, by our legislators, to make sure that our community members are heard and taken care of in any future potential instances?
We're going to pause right there because I will say I do respect her for telling us the truth here. I'm sure that took a lot for her to do that. But she's going to start to get into pushing blame and once again, trying to add somebody else to regulate an already supposed to be regulated system. So we'll just get into it and keep.
Well, I think one of the first things that we had to do was assess what happened with the Carus chemical issue and find out where things went wrong and where we learned our lessons from. Part of the process was none of the state agencies or the experts that we depend on had the information that we needed. We would get calls about livestock and pets, and we were desperately reaching out to the IEPA, to the EPA, to the state agricultural department, to the FDA, the federal agriculture, the Department of Agriculture. No one seemed to know exactly what the effects of the chemicals were or how to neutralize those. And so that was sort of the start of what I believe was several failures in the handling of it. So what I propose we would do is, first of all, empower our fire marshals to be able to monitor those companies that have chemicals. We do already. It exists. Each county and region has an EMS system, and that shows you on a GIS, point for point, exactly where every chemical is in the state, including gas stations. It shows where petrol is. And the reason that they do that is because they have to know if there's an event like Carus, and believe it or not, I learned all this before the Carus fire.
Okay, people. The fire marshal. The fire marshal. I am so friggin' confused in what she's saying. Don't we have the IEPA, the EPA, the Illinois Department, the blah, 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 Homeland Security, and all these good people that are involved in, and our local government? You all failed us. I hope you're happy. We'll continue.
If something were to happen, they need to know who to send in and the response teams that need to be able to take care of that situation or what protections are going to need it. Now, that information is voluntarily submitted. It's actually required by anyone, but not everyone follows through on their paperwork. Not everyone gets their jobs done. Sometimes people will move or close businesses and don't close that out. But the Emergency Management Association, tasked with that monitoring, has no enforcement capabilities to go to a company and say, hey, or a location, you didn't have this turned in.
I will agree with one thing that she said right there. Enforcing the regulations we already have according to the law. state, federal, and local. That means local municipality law, people. Yes, your mayor is failing you, along with this candidate who wants the 76th district seat. She still ain't got it, and she's in office. So who didn't do their homework? I got emails though, people. So you just hang on, and listen to the show.
They can do that, and they do, but they have no enforcement capabilities. So it turns out the only person that can enforce anything is the fire marshal. But our fire chiefs can investigate situations. They can, but the ultimate issuance has to come from our fire marshal. So there's lots of technical things that we can do. Addressing your concerns, absolutely, we needed more clear clarification and building that database of information for all of the chemicals that are contained in the areas in our district, right? That should be something that we know if magnesium permanganate explodes, we have to get it off of our animals within X amount of time, that we should be able to, but we didn't have that information before. So collecting and making sure we have that data, increasing the amount of control that the fire marshal has in enforcing the regulations that we already have.
Well, I would believe that. A two and a. But anyway, this person, if you would support what I'm doing, my advocacy towards Carus Chemical and this city of LaSalle and the other people responsible for the wrongs that was done to us the day of the fire, people, you will vote no on 2024 for Murri Briel. You will vote no for Murri. You will vote no. 76th District, no. We have many other candidates that are more than willing to take on the job and give more information. But we're going to jump into the email next, so hang on for that, because it's an email from Lance Yedknocks' office to my city attorney. Okay, my friends, I want you to pay particular attention to who this email is from and to, and we're going to get into it. From Lance Yedknocks' office, sent Monday, February 6th to our city attorney, Jim McFedrin, who claims they didn't know what the hell to do, what any of the laws were that I was spouting off, or who had the authority. So we're going to get into it. It says, "Good afternoon, Lance Yedknock, or Representative Yedknock. Thank you again for reaching out last week with your concerns and questions regarding the chemical storage. Illinois Emergency Management and IEPA met to discuss your questions and provide you with the answers that you want to be able to give your constituents." Now, that's probably not the truthful shit, but anyway. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have further questions. IEPA is available to follow up for any follow-up questions on the ongoing work at Carus. Well, did we just not hear her say that none of the agencies would answer their phones? Nobody knew what to do, la-di-da-di-da. So the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act, EPCRA, of 1986 was created to help communities plan for chemical emergencies. It also requires industries to report on storage, use, and release of hazardous substances to federal, state, and local governments, people. You heard me say it. EPCRA requires state, local governments and Indian tribes to use the Illinois Emergency Planning Community Right to Know Act. The Illinois Emergency Management Agency shall be the State Emergency Response Commission for the purpose of implementing the provisions of the Title III of the Superfund Amendment and the Reauthorization Act of 1986 at the state level, and shall perform all functions of a CERC under the Act. The below summarizes chemical inventory reporting requirements, chemical release reporting requirements, and inspection and enforcement authorities granted under the federal and Illinois EPCRA law. She said nobody has the authority. We'll get into it. Chemical inventory reporting. In accordance with both federal and Illinois EPCRA laws, facilities are required to submit an annual chemical inventory and chemical locations within the facility to the CERC, the local emergency, or the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, or our local planning committees, which would be Fred Moore with the Illinois um, uh, LaSalle County, LaSalle County Emergency Management Agency. And local fire departments. A hazardous chemical is an extremely hazardous substance if it is presented as if it presented at a particular facility at one time in the amount equal to or greater than 500 pounds or the threshold planning quantity, whichever is lower. EHS and their TPQs are listed in the Appendix A and B of 40 CFR Part 355. For chemicals that are non-EHS but are required by Occupational Safety Administration to have a safety data sheet, which Carus did not have. The reporting requirement is 10,000 pounds per chemical and on-site. Chemical release reporting in accordance with both federal and Illinois EPCRA laws. If a release requiring notification under the EPCRA Section 304 under Section 103A of the Comprehensive Environmental Response and Compensation and Liability Act of 1980 occurs from a facility at which a hazard chemical is produced, used, stored, the owner operator of the facility shall immediately provide notice to the following entities, people: local emergency management coordination. That would be Fred Moore, usually the county or city emergency management director with jurisdiction over the geographic area. CERC and CERC then will notify the proper local planning committees. Following the inspections, I want to hit on this really good, so we're going to have to take my pretty face up off of here, I believe, so I can read it to you. Okay, sorry about that. I had to print this up really quick so I could read it and get it fully to you before I can move that damn thing. So the following inspection and enforcement, people. Remember she said enforcement, there was none? Anyway, the following inspection and enforcement actions are authorized by IPCRA. That's Illinois IPCRA. Upon request to the owner and the operator of the facility, which files an inventory form by the fire department with jurisdiction over the facility, the owner and operator of the facility shall allow the fire department to conduct on-site inspections of the facility. People, am I missing something here? Again, pay attention to the dates and who this letter is from. They knew the whole time. Everybody, people. They knew exactly what happened at the fire. So we're going to continue on. And we're going to go to the last page. And shall provide the fire department with specific locations on hazardous substances and chemicals at the facility. The CERC shall have the authority to investigate the alleged allegations of IPCRA and the following written notices to the business to refer such violations of enforcement to who? The state's attorney, Joe Navarro. Well, he ain't gonna do nothing to Carus Chemical. He's friends with all these people. So the corruption gets bigger. The state's attorney of the county in which the violation occurred, the Illinois Attorney General's Office, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the SANAG, and the US EPA, as the case may be, may, as requested of the CERC or upon his own motion, institute to action for such penalties and authorization authorized by federal, state EPCRA laws, as well as from such other remedies, including injunction relief as necessary to restrain or remedy violations of the statute. Then they go on about their Tier 2 form, and this is from none other than Homeland Security, Illinois Emergency Management, the people who's been protecting the big company the whole time. Wow, Murri. Wow. Really? So I'm going to tell you something, people. If you're on my team and we're So if we're on the same team and we're fighting for the same goals, my say is vote no in 2024 for Murri to be a candidate for Illinois State Representative. 76th District is big, people. It is big. It's a big corridor. You have to make sure people have your best interests. We had local state rep in office, and he's done nothing for us. He has no control. And now she wants to run, and she doesn't even know the laws behind a catastrophe in our town. It's the last thing on her mind, and we're still sitting there dead ducks in the damn water. Carus continues to run rogue, and we continue to be their sacrifice zone. So, this is one person I will not have that will not have my backing. And they shouldn't have yours neither. Hey, keep watching the Jamie Hicks Show. Please like and subscribe, whatever platform I'm on, and share what I got to say, because it's important. It's not only happening in little old LaSalle, Illinois, people. It's happening all over the world. If this company's getting away with it, there's others getting away with it too. Peace out.